Smith. For anyone just now looking at one of these studies, this is Illuminati Part 4. I'm not going to talk long. I want to go on and jump into this because it has been a while since I've did my study and placed it on YouTube. But for those who are looking at this part, it's good that you chronologically start at Crystal Smith, Illuminati P1, to understand the reason why we're here at Illuminati Part 4. The first beginning of my Illuminati research is pretty chronologically ordered, so it's good that you start at Part 1 and work yourself up until maybe about now, maybe a little after now. But you will see as you look that once you look at my videos, you will see that somewhere along the line that you need to start at P1, Crystal Smith, Illuminati P1, to understand the reason why you're looking at Part 4. So I'm going to go on and get started. Don't want to be on you long. So in Part 3, we were talking about Cain. We were talking about the history of Cain, how Cain was a half hybrid, and how Cain became a half hybrid. Again, if this sounds strange, you need to start at Part 1 and work yourself up. But with that being said, picking up from Cain being a giant and understanding how giants came about on the earth before the flood and even after, but we'll talk about that in just a few minutes, also helps us understand why that was spoken of, because looking at what I have here, the book of Enoch, as you can see, I have some pictures and photocopies of some of the book to the left and some of the book to the right. And right now I think I want to start from the right side, since we were talking about Cain being a giant and how giants even came about. And also to help people understand how the book of Enoch is accredited and collaborates with our Bible today, because a lot of people don't want to credit the book of Enoch and a lot of other books that's not in our Bible. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to scroll up for you all to see how Cain became a giant, okay? And it's also helping you understand how giants came about even after Cain and his descendants, who were pretty much half hybrid people. When you look to the left, it's explaining why angels cannot procreate. Father didn't make them that way, okay? And when you look further on down, it even explains what demons are. But first, let's scroll over here to the right side of the screen. And I'm going to zoom in. Give me a minute. And we're going to look at Enoch chapter 7. And it reads something like this. And it happened after the sons of men had multiplied in those days, that the daughters were born to them, elegant and beautiful. And if you look, this book of Enoch is also correlating with you some of the Bible verses that attaches to these scriptures. And when the angels, the sons of heaven, beheld them, they became enamored of them, saying to each other, Come, let us select for ourselves wives from the progeny of men, and let us beget children, which end up being giants. Then their leader was Semyaza. Okay? So I'm going to stop there. And I want you to look a little more to the right. And I want you to go to verse 10. It says, Then they took wives, each choosing for himself, whom they began to approach, and with whom they cohabited, teaching them sorcery, incantation, and the dividing of roots and trees. And what did they do? And they, conceiving, brought forth giants. Verse 12, whose stature was each 300 cubits. These devour all which the labor of men produced until it became impossible to feed them. Then they turned themselves against men in order to devour them, and began to injure birds, beasts, reptiles, and fishes, to eat their flesh one after another, and to drink their blood. Cannibalism is when this began. Okay? So, with that being said, the reason I wanted to bring that about is because not only was Cain and his descendants giants, but later on in the future, giants came even after Cain and his descendants. Cain is a giant or a half hybrid because, again, Eve had sex with Lucifer. And we already know, looking over here, in Enoch chapter 15, starting at verse 6, Father told them, but you from the beginning were made spiritual, living a life which is eternal and not subject to death, in all the generations of the world. Therefore I made not wise for you, because being spiritual your dwelling is in heaven. It says, now the giants who have been born of spirit and flesh shall call upon earth what? Evil spirits, and on earth shall be their habitation. Evil spirits shall proceed from their flesh. Evil spirits shall they be upon earth, and the spirits of the wicked shall they be called. The habitation of the spirits of heaven shall be in heaven, but upon earth shall be the habitation of terrestrial spirits who are born in earth. It says, the spirits of the giants shall be like clouds which shall oppress, corrupt, fall, contend, and bruise upon the earth. They shall cause lamentation. No food shall they eat, and they shall be thirsty. They shall be concealed, and those spirits shall rise up against the sons of men and against women. What are these called now? Demons. Yep. So with that being said, scrolling back in here. So with that being said, I'm trying to do a dual part about giants and demons all at the same time. As you can see, when you look over here to the right, Enoch chapter 7 describes how these giants came about. Now we understand Genesis chapter 6 because of Enoch chapter 7. And if you look a little more, it even gives you the list in verse 9 there. It even gives you the list of angels that came upon out of the heavenly realm and came upon the earthly realm to beget wives. Okay? If you want to read the book of Enoch, it'll be good too. It'll be good to get an order of the book of Enoch. You can get it off of www.artisanpublishing.com, I believe. I can't remember. But if you want to get a copy of it, just inbox me on Facebook or something, and I can tell you where to go. But with that being said, giants are half hybrids who came through the DNA of angels who shape-shifted into human beings. And these angels end up taking on amongst themselves wives and bearing children. And these children were considered giants. With that being said, these giants were no longer being satisfied by vegetables and all that good stuff, because at one time we were vegetarians, and you're going to see that in the next slide. At one time we were vegetarians. We didn't eat meat. But with that being said, the giants were not being satisfied, so not only did they start injuring human beings and eating on them, they also started eating on the beasts of the field, the fowl of the air, etc., etc. Cannibalism. To me, that's when cannibalism began. And then when you look over here to the left at Enoch chapter 15, it gets ready to describe what Father said, that angels do not procreate. He did not make them to be mortal form and take daughters of men. Okay? He didn't make them that way. He made them sons of God, which are angels. People like to get that confused with the book, with Genesis chapter 6. Oh, well, no, the sons of God was men. No, the sons of God were angels. The sons of God were angels. Okay? The sons of men and the daughters of men are us. But the sons of God were angels. Again, look at chapter 7, verse 2. And when the angels, the sons of heaven, or as we know it now at the Bible, the sons of God. That's even listed in Job. How he talks about the sons of God, which were angels. And if you look at Job, I think it's in Job chapter 1 or Job chapter 2, where it spoke of the sons of God came to, paraphrasing, the sons of God came to our Father, and the devil was with them, in the midst of them. And so I think that's when God asked what was he doing, paraphrasing, and Satan said, going to and fro through the earth, etc., etc. Either way it goes, the reason I'm saying that, because all you have to do is go back and look at the book of Job, and it says the sons of God. Sons of God means angels. So with that being said, Father told these angels you were not supposed to do that. You weren't supposed to leave your earthly realm. You was not supposed to leave your habitation. That's where Jude comes in at in our Bible, talking about when they left their eternal dwelling of their habitation. It's talking about these angels when they left the heavenly realm to come to the earthly realm to beget wives and have children, and they brought forth giants. Excuse me, a little stopped up here. And with that being said, also, now these demons or these demonic forces that we do see lingering here on the earth, these demons are the giants, evil spirits. Why? Because they want to possess and they want to take over our body. That's why you have demonic possession now. Okay? That's why you can feel these demonic forces, because a lot of it comes from these giants, evil spirits that's dwelling on the earth. That's why I was telling people there are different sets of classes of demonic forces. Talk about that later on, either in this study or in another study. Okay? But anyway, I wanted to show you all how the book of Enoch correlates with the Bible, and how giants existed, not just during Cain's time, and not just through Cain's descendants, but also when these angels came from heaven and married daughters of men, which are women, and end up sexing them and end up bringing forth giants. Okay, so I wanted to put that part in the research, because this is going to matter as well as we go along. Now, I'm showing you all now that this part that I have up here came out of my MacArthur New King James Version Study Bible. Now, remember when I was telling you that at one time we were vegetarians? Okay? Look at Genesis chapter 1 to the left. Like I say, a lot of this I'm adding detail to the Illuminati. I'm still talking about the Illuminati, but I'm adding detail to it. I like to break stuff down detail by detail so people can get a clue of not just one part, but a lot of parts that's behind that one main part. But with that being said, let's look at Genesis chapter 1. Let's start at verse, let's start at verse 29. Okay, I'm going to zoom in. As you can see, I say we were vegetarians at first. It explains it right here in Genesis chapter 1, starting at verse 29. And it says, "And God said, See, I have given you every herb that yields seed, which is on the face of all the earth, and every tree whose fruit yields seed. To you it shall be for food. Also to every beast of the earth, to every bird of the air, and to everything that creeps on the earth, in which there is life, I have given every green herb for food." And it was so. So not only was humanity vegetarians, but the beasts of the field, the fowls of the air, and even every creature or every living thing that had breath were vegetarians. We were supposed to eat green herb and be satisfied. Okay, so that's living proof of us being vegetarians before sin fell and cannibalism took place. Okay. It probably took place in the midst of the fall of Adam and Eve, in the midst of Cain murdering Abel. But I'm just trying to show you all that at one time we were pure human beings who were vegetarians until sin took place. And then giants began to be cannibalistic because veggies and herbs and fruit was no longer satisfying their appetites. Why? Because they're great in stature. And so they desired to eat on flesh, and they began killing humanity and beasts and reptiles and etc., that I just showed you in the previous slide. Now let's go back to talking about the giants. So when you look over here to the right of the screen at Genesis chapter 6, right? Now I just showed y'all the book of Enoch, okay? I just showed y'all this, right? I just told y'all how the book of Enoch talks about giants and how it correlates with Genesis chapter 6, right? So now we're going to look a little bit here at Genesis chapter 6. Because now we need to understand giants before and after. Because we need to understand that there are still giants, even though we might not look at them as giants, but they're great in stature even today as we speak. So now we need to understand where did these giants come from after, okay? Because the days of Noah, if y'all have read that in Matthew or one book of the New Testament talking about these days now are going to be like the days of Noah's time, when people were eating and marrying, drinking, not paying attention. It's going to be like that again. And I believe even when it comes down to giantessism, even though we do have some people being of great stature now. But let's see how does DNA continue to take place even after the flood. So when you look at Genesis chapter 6, which you all know is in our regular Bible, and as you can see, this is the Bible that I use to show you all this part here. Let's read. It says, "Now it came to pass when men began to multiply on the face of the earth, and daughters were born to them, that the sons of God, aka angels, saw the daughters of men, aka fleshly women, that they were beautiful, and they took wives for themselves of all whom they chose. And the Lord said, My spirit shall not strive with man forever, for he is indeed flesh, yet his days shall be 120 years. Now, I want you to look at verse 4 where I got it all colored and highlighted. It says, There were giants on the earth in those days and also afterward, when the sons of God came to the daughters of men, and they bore children to them. These were the mighty men who were of old, men of renown." Okay? Giants before and after? Yep. Now let's get ready to see how there was giants not just before the flood, but after the flood. Because it says so in Genesis chapter 4. It says so, that there were giants on the earth in those days and also afterward. How is that? Let's get ready to break this down, y'all. This is still dealing with the Illuminati. I'm just giving y'all extra detail and background behind the study of the Illuminati. Okay, I'm going to zoom out so I can get my screen right. Yeah, let's get ready to figure out what does he mean when he said that there were giants before and after. So, again, don't forget, we are studying and understanding the Illuminati, but there are also gaps behind the history of the Illuminati, and I'm trying to put those gaps together for people historically, and we will be discussing other things that's pertaining to the Illuminati, but let's talk about the background and history of it first, okay? So again, understanding it, what does it mean that there were giants after? Okay, so here we go again. As you can see, I still got my picture here. Looking at Genesis chapter 6, I'm showing you the Bible that I used. Now, there are some links talking about some giants even after the flood. And I want to show y'all these scriptures, which y'all probably already know for those who are Bible readers. Probably looked at these scriptures, and again, like me at one time, never paid any attention. Okay? So let's get ready to go to these links and look at these scriptures. Bear with me here. Y'all gotta forgive me. I'm not feeling myself today. And then trying to come back into getting in my study. It's been a while, but bear with me. I'm trying to jump right back in it here. And waiting on the screen. Y'all know I told y'all before in several slides and presentations. And sometimes my computer can be slow. Alright, so let's look at Numbers chapter 13. Numbers chapter 13 verses 26 through 33. If anybody again are Bible believers, y'all already know about the Israelites going to spy on the Canaanites. And how Moses led them to go do that. Joshua and somebody else. And I think somebody else. I'm not going to read the full thing. But they went to go spy on the Canaanites. So let's scroll down to verse 26. Let's see here. Alright, so right here is where we're at. Right in here. We're going to start right here. Okay. And y'all know me. I love to zoom in and out. Y'all know how I do. For those who've been following me, I like zooming in and out. Alright, so now it says, now they departed and came back to Moses and Aaron and all the congregation of the children of Israel in the wilderness of Paran at Kadesh. They brought back word to them and to all the congregation and showed them the fruit of the land. Then they told him and said, we went to the land where you sent us. It truly flows with milk and honey, and this is its fruit. So again, this is the land that Father promised Moses and the Israelites. The land flowing with milk and honey, which is the land of Canaan. This is the land that he was getting ready to inherit to them. Okay. Verse 28. Nevertheless, the people who dwell in the land are strong. The cities are fortified and very large. Moreover, we saw the descendants of Anak there. The Amalekites dwell in the land of the south. The Hittites, the Jebusites, and the Amorites dwell in the mountains. And the Canaanites dwell by the sea and along the banks of the Jordan. Okay, let's scroll up to verse 30. So we are right here. It says, then Caleb quieted the people before Moses and said, let us go up at once and take possession, for we are well able to overcome it. Okay, verse 31. But the men who gone up with him said, we are not able to go up against these people, for they are stronger than we are. Once again, you see R being italicized, meaning it's emphasizing something. For they are stronger than we are, meaning they are of great stature. They're stronger than us. How are we going to go up and defeat these people? Verse 32. And they gave the children of Israel a bad report of the land which they had spied out, saying, the land through which we have gone as spies is a land that devours its inhabitants, and all the people whom we saw in it are men of great stature. Okay? Are men of great stature. There we saw the giants. There we saw the giants. The descendants of Anak came from the giants, and we were like grasshoppers in our own sight, and so we were in their sight. So when these guys went to go spy out the land of Canaan, true, it flowed with milk and honey, but the downfall was that these were men of great stature. These were giants. So that goes back to saying that there were giants before and after the flood. Okay, again, I'm showing y'all these verses to show y'all that there were giants biblically before and after the flood. And in a little bit, I'm going to be showing you how these giants continued the reason they were after the flood. Okay, now let's go look at Deuteronomy chapter 2. And starting at verse 10 through 11. Again, Bible readers, y'all already know what I'm speaking on here. I'm just doing a breakdown of giants so people can see that this existed. And I'm also doing a breakdown of giants to prove the accreditation of the book of Enoch. And again, yes, it does pertain to the Illuminati if people just bear with me and let me get there. Alright, starting at verse 10. The Emim who had dwelt there in times past, here we go, a people as great and numerous and as tall as the Anakim. Okay, they were also regarded as giants like the Anakim, but the Moabites just called them Emim. Okay, so there's another hint. Okay, I'm not going to go no farther. I'm just showing y'all that there were giants before and after the flood. Now we're going to go to Deuteronomy chapter 3, and we're going to read some of 3 verses 3 through 11. Anybody who read about King Og, if you really paid attention, it's even telling you that King Og himself, I think, if I'm not mistaken, King Og himself was a giant. So let's go on and read as much of this as we can now. Alright, scroll up here. It says, so the Lord our God also delivered into our hands Og, king of Bashan, with all his people, and we attacked him until he had no survivors remaining. And we took all his cities at that time. There was not a city which we did not take from them. 60 cities, all the region of Argob, the kingdom of Og and Bashan. Okay, all these cities were fortified with high walls, gates, and bars, besides a great many rural towns. And we utterly destroyed them, as we did to Sihon, king of Heshbon, utterly destroying the men, women, and children of every city. But all the livestock and the spoil of the cities we took as booty for ourselves. Starting at verse 8. And at that time we took the land from the hand of the 2 kings of the Amorites who were on the side of the Jordan, from the river Arnon to Mount Hermon. The Sidonians call Hermon Syrian, and the Amorites call it Sinir. All the cities of the plain, all Gilead, and all Bashan, as far as Salcah and Adrai, cities of the kingdom of Og and Bashan. Alright, so the one that I really want you to pay attention to is verse 11, right here. Just the one. Excuse me. Now, it says, for only Og, king of Bashan, remained of the remnant of the giants. Indeed, his bedstead was an iron bedstead. Is it not in Rabbah of the people of Ammon? 9 cubits is its length, and 4 cubits its width, according to the standard cubit. Okay, I looked at a PowerPoint that measured how cubits are really conversed into feet and inches. And the guy who did it, he broke it down very well. But cubits, I think, represents oh gosh, I think 1 foot and 6 inches. Okay, so when you take 9 cubits and you put 1 foot 6 inches and add all that up, it gives you the total amount of how many feet plus inches left was this person, or however they measured it, right? But with that being said, these people were staying like 7 feet, 8 feet, 9 feet, even higher than that because of their stature. And y'all even know to this day that we have some people that can stand 7 feet, 8 feet. Haven't seen nobody quite 9 feet yet, but I'm going to show you some things where there's some people even up until this day that can stand right at 9 feet tall. To us, they're considered giants, okay? And it was giants even taller than that, okay? Especially those that were born purifying or purity through the angels. They probably stood in great stature, okay? And of course, the more that DNA became tainted with human DNA, the giantism was still there, but it probably wasn't as much of a great stature as it was back then. So I just wanted to show you all through Genesis chapter 6 and the book of Enoch dealing with chapter 7 and the book of Enoch dealing with chapter 15 that giants existed. I'm explaining to you how they existed, and I'm also saying in dual information how the book of Enoch is accredited and to be proved that it collaborates with the Bible. Okay? So, with that being said, I showed you all both of these verses here, and I'm going to zoom out. So, this is what it means that there were giants after, okay? But still, historically and by DNA, how was there still giants after? If Father destroyed these giants and these evil people and all this stuff before the flood, how is there still able to be giants after the flood? Okay? So we still trying to figure out. We see by proof that there were giants before and after. But how? Okay? Where did they come from? Like I was just saying right here, if there was a remnant of them before the flood, where did they come from after the flood? Okay? Excuse me. Excuse me. Like I said, y'all, I was telling y'all, until I'm catching a little cold here. Excuse me. So when we look at Genesis chapter 6, understanding that there were giants before and after the flood, it goes off into Genesis chapter 7. It goes off into Genesis chapter 7 as well. Let's see if we can open that up right quick. Now let's look at Genesis chapter 6, where it says, starting at verse 5. It says, "And God saw that the wickedness of man was great in the earth, and that every imagination of the thoughts of his heart was only evil continually. And it repented the Lord that he had made man on earth, and it grieved him at his heart." And what did he say in verse 7? Right here. "And the Lord said, I will destroy man whom I have created from the face of the earth, both man and beast, and the creeping thing, and the fowls of the air, for it repenteth me that I have made them. But who found grace? Who found grace in his eyesight? But Noah found grace in the eyes of the Lord." Okay. Oh, excuse me. All right, when we scroll up to verse 9, right here, it says, "These are the generations of Noah. Noah was a just man and perfect in his generations, and Noah walked with God." Okay. We're going to scroll all the way down to verse 13. right here. And it says, and God said unto Noah, the end of all flesh is come before me, for the earth is filled with violence through them. And behold, I will destroy them with the earth. So right here, this is when he starts telling 13 through pretty much the rest of it. 13 through 22. Father starts telling Noah, I need for you to get ready to make an ark. Okay? Because he was pretty much, we can pretty much imagine that he was explaining to Noah why. And he was explaining to Noah how he wanted him to make the ark. And he was probably also explaining to Noah to give precautionary warning to those that are habitated on earth what's about to take place. Okay? So when we go to when we go to Genesis chapter 7, right here, of course we already know, for those that are Bible readers again, that once the ark was made, he had Noah place male and female of every living creature, every living thing or whatever into the ark. And of course they had to be in there, paraphrasing, 40 days, 40 nights until the earth was flooded and destroyed. Okay, this is coming out of Genesis chapter 7. I don't have time to read it, but for those who are interested, just go look it up or get your Bible and read Genesis chapter 7. Okay? But this right here is explaining why. Genesis chapter 6 is explaining why he did it. And Genesis chapter 7 is explaining what took place when he did do it. He had Noah put his sons, his wife, his sons' wives, all of them went off into this boat, along with every male and female of every living creature. Okay? So we're going to shut that out. And we're going to keep going. Okay? Alright. So here we go. Here's the big thing right here. Noah's story. Understanding Noah's story. This is going to be a deep part that y'all got to understand in order to understand the reason the giant still was here. Again, a lot of people who are looking at my studies are probably going to be mind twisted, Bible twisted. But if you just take your time, listen to me out and follow where I'm coming from, because I try my best to put scripture with every research that I do. I really try. But if you follow in behind me with the word, you will see how all this gather up, and it's understanding, and then it opens up your spiritual insight. Okay? But we got to talk about Noah in order to understand where these other giants came from. Okay? So with that being said, let's get ready to open up this link right here. Okay? Excuse me. I'm sorry again. And hopefully it will open up with no problem, and I think it is. Alright. Y'all know I'm ready to start scrolling in as always. Alright, so here we go. This is a research that I did when I was looking at the studying of understanding Noah. And as you can see, again, if you want to pause and hesitate to write down links to look at it yourself, feel free to do so. Because I don't have the time to go through every research. I just try to pull out the highlights of that research. Okay? But when you first look at this, okay, you see the title is called Of Noah's Lineage and the Sin of Ham and the Giants. Okay, we're going to scroll on down because it's giving you Noah's lineage. Okay, and it's giving you the list of Seth's firstborn. Okay, now I'm going to try to be as slow as I can with this study so you can keep up with me here. But understand it's about to be a trip. But here we go. So we already know about Adam and Eve. We already know that Abel was killed behind Cain. So that's when Seth came in and took a place. And I think from what he's saying, which I believe it, because there were other human beings on earth, and I still believe even with Adam and Eve, there were other human beings on earth. But Seth had a sister, okay? And all these people right here to the left is Seth's people, okay? This is his lineage right here. And I want to maybe say this is some of his lineage as well, because they had to pretty much intermarry with one another. But Seth married sister, had Enos. Enos married, had a wife, and as you can see, this is how it goes. This is how the lineage went. Now, this is what I really want you to pay attention to. Right here. You see that? Pay attention. Noah. Hitting this camera. Now pay attention, because if you notice, everyone had a pure wife except for Noah. Because as time went by, Seth's seed line started eventually being tainted by Cain's descendants once they started intermingling and intermarrying with Cain's people. By the time Noah was old enough and I guess ready to marry, there were no more pure Seth seed lines. So he ended up marrying a Canaanite or a Canaanic wife, which was pretty much a hybrid. So we already know that this wife that Noah married was part of Cain's descendants. Okay, evidently she must have been a good Canaanite. Okay, a Canaan. Maybe all the Cain's people weren't evil, but evidently he ended up marrying this lady, and I'm about to show you in the book of Jasher. Okay, I'm gonna give you some more detail behind the book of Jasher in just a minute. But he ended up marrying this woman. Okay. Now, this is what I want you to look at. Last of the pure Sethic firstborn was Noah. Noah had 3 sons. They were mixed seeds. They were hybrids. Japheth, Ham, and Shem. Uh-oh. So when he did end up having these children, don't know when and don't know how long it took. Again, the book of Jasher is going to show us some when I show you. They were hybrids because of their mother. Okay? Now, with that being said, I'm going to leave all that alone and I'm going to scroll down. Okay? Again, you have the right to look because it's got some good detailed information in here. I just don't have time to read it all. But you have the right to write down this link and look at it yourself. But this is definitely where we finna start right here. Of the sin of Ham. Genesis chapter 9, 18 through 27. Now, anybody who's a Bible believer already know the story of Ham. Everybody know what happened with Ham, the Bible believers. Okay? Everyone know that Noah got drunk. Ham went in and saw his father nakedness. But what people don't know is what does seeing his father nakedness really represent. A lot of people don't know this. It took me to research it, and it's got biblical scriptures to prove what I'm about to say. Now, we personally believe it's got something to do with Noah being found by Ham and Ham doing the sexual gay act. Has nothing to do with that. Now, if you look at this, it says Ham is the father of Canaan. When you look at Genesis chapter 9, verse 18. And then when you look at Genesis chapter 9, verse 22, it says Ham, the father of Canaan, saw the nakedness of his father. Now, you see how this guy got this bold and underlined It's pushing out, it's emphasizing something. Okay? And even when you look right here, he even said something about an emphasis. Okay? It says, Ham being the father of Canaan, and Ham is the father of Canaan. Why such emphasis? The same emphasis is repeated in the fifth statement. Why? Why did Noah curse Canaan? So, in order to understand that, I'm going to get ready to break it down. Okay? I think he even broke it down right here somewhere in this, right here is where he broke it down at. Okay? This whole little paragraph is where he broke it down at. And he even had the scriptures, which helped me go back and look at the scriptures. And boy, was I in awe when I read it. But it makes a whole lot of sense. And it helps you understand why Noah cursed Canaan instead of cursing Ham. Okay? Now, I'm going to show y'all this in just a minute. The paragraph that I just had highlighted. I'm going to show y'all that in just a minute. Okay? But there is something else I want y'all to pay attention to while we're doing this part of Noah. Now, if you look to the right, what does it say? What does it say? It says Noah has only sons and no daughters compared to his other family folk. Okay? It's a reason why that took place. But to prove to you all that truth, I want us to go to Genesis chapter 5. It's a reason why I'm bringing this part up too. I'm going to log in right quick. Shucks, I think I done forgot my... I done forgot my password, but I'm going to try. Oh, they got me. Alright. So, look at this. I want y'all to pay attention to this. Y'all see what's highlighted? I highlighted this for a reason in Genesis chapter 5 because I want y'all to see the pattern here. Again, Noah had sons and no daughters compared to his other family line. Now, if you look, in Genesis chapter 5, starting at verse 4, you will see that Adam had sons and daughters. You will see that Seth had sons and daughters. You will see that Canaan had sons and daughters. You will see that Mahalalel had sons and daughters. You will see that Jared had sons and daughters. You will see that Enoch had sons and daughters. You will see that Methuselah had sons and daughters. You will see that Lamech had sons and daughters. But when you come down here, you will see that Noah only had sons. Shem, Ham, and Japheth. Or Japheth. Now you notice that pattern. Everybody in his family line had sons and daughters except for him. It's a reason. And we'll talk about that in just a few. But I wanted to show you that again, because it's always a reason why I'm showing you all this detailed information. I like to back up and be very detailed about my studies. But it's a reason why I showed you all that. Now, here we go. Here goes the breakdown. Bear with me, because it's going to sound confusing, but bear with me. So So remember when I was telling you all that as time went by, the more Seth family grew, Cain family of people also grew. And as time went by, Cain's family started intermingling with Seth's family and bloodline. And if you look in the middle of the screen, you can see where it started to be tainted. Right here, you can see where it started to be tainted, and the more it became tainted, and the more it became tainted. To the point that by the time Noah down here was ready to marry, he didn't have a choice but to marry a Canaanite woman. Okay? Excuse me. Oh, excuse me. I didn't mean to do that. So when you look at the chart, just keep in mind what I'm getting ready to talk about. Okay? But the more the Canaanite family and bloodline grew, of course, the more Seth's family and bloodline grew. And it caused the intermingling with the pure seed and the hybrid seed. And like I said, as you look up this way on Seth's seed line, you can see from the left to the right how it began to be tainted. Okay? Now, why is it that Noah had nothing but sons, but his other family people had daughters? Well, because as you can see, because of his hybrid wife, she being a half hybrid, half angel, it tainted the bloodline system to the point she couldn't produce daughters. But she could produce males for him, but she couldn't produce daughters. Okay? Compared to all his folk up here, they were able to produce sons and daughters. But him, he couldn't. He couldn't because of the corruption of his hybrid wife. That's why all he could make and all she could make for him was sons. She was tainted. Her blood, her DNA was tainted, so all she could make for him personally was sons. And of course, we already know this was all meant to happen for a reason, of course, because Father has his way and will of doing things. He has a way of doing things all for a particular reason. Okay? Now, here we go. Pay attention, because when you look to the left of the screen, as you can see, this is coming out of Genesis chapter 16 verse 22, and it's also coming out of, that's gonna keep popping up, it's also coming out of my New King James MacArthur Study Bible. Now look real closely at the family line of Cain. Now, Crystal, what you talking about? Well, there's a reason why I'm talking about this, because it's going to be a confusion with some names. Because if y'all notice, some of Cain's family people got the same names like some of Noah's them family folk. Okay? They do. The Lamechs, the Enochs. It was another name that was called, that I just called out, the Canaan. It's certain names that Cain's family folk got that Noah and Enoch and Seth's family people got. Okay? Just like my name is Crystal, somebody else's name is Crystal. Okay? So, when you look at Genesis chapter 4, verses 16 through 22, it reads like this. Starting at verse 17. And Cain knew his wife, and she conceived and bore Enoch. Of course, we know it's not the Enoch that we know. This is a totally different Enoch. Okay, now, skip down a little bit and go to verse 18 that I have highlighted. To Enoch was born Arad, and Arad begot Mahuziel, and Mahuziel begot Methusiel, and Methusiel begot Lamech. Okay? Look at verse 19. Here we go. This is where it's going to get real good. Then Lamech took for himself 2 wives, and the name of one, emphasizing, was Adam. And the name of the second one, emphasizing, was Zillah. Verse 20. And Adam bore Jabal. He was the father of those who dwell in tents and have livestock. Okay. His brother name was Jubal. He was the father of all those who played the harp and flute. Verse 21. And as for Zillah, she also bore Tubal-Cain, an instructor of every craftsman in bronze and iron. Now look at the very last part of verse 22. And the sister of Tubal-Cain was, emphasizing, Naamah. Now, it left it right there. It ain't say no more. It just said, and the sister of Tubal-Cain was Naamah. That's it. But for some reason, was right here as well is emphasized. Now, I want y'all to pay close attention where I just said this coming from. Genesis chapter 4, verses 16 through 22. Now, this is coming out of the King James Version, MacArthur Study Bible. Now, let's look over here to the right, because now we about to look at the book of Jasher. And what I'm about to read is coming out of Jasher chapter 2, verses 15 through 17. Mind you, I just gave you the family line of Cain. Okay? Starting at verse 15, where I said it's getting interesting. Check this out. And when Canaan was 70 years old, he begot 3 sons and 2 daughters. That's coming out of Genesis chapter 5 and 13. Okay? And these are the names of the children of Canaan. The name of the firstborn was Mahalalel, the second Enon, and the third Merit. And their sisters were who? Ada and Zillah. Okay? Now mind you, this Canaan that's being spoken of in the book of Jasher, this Canaan belonged to Enosh. Okay? Who is Enosh? When you look up here at verse 10, it says, and Enosh lived 90 years and he begot Canaan. Enosh was on Enoch them side of the bloodline. He was on Seth them side of the bloodline. Again, don't forget, there are some names, people just, like I say, I'm a crystal, but it's a crystal somewhere else. Enosh was born to the Seth descendant family. So Enosh ended up begetting Canaan, or Canaan, okay? As time went by, you can see coming through 11 through 14, it talks about Canaan and what he did in his days. But the parts that I wanted y'all to pay attention to was 15 through 17, when he ended up having children. And out of his children, he had 2 daughters. And those 2 daughters were named Ada and Zillah, where I have highlighted in purple. Now look at 17. Look at 17. I know it might be hard because it's at the very bottom. But look what it says in 17. And Lamech, the son of Methuselah, over here. Just look at it. He's on the Canaan side of the family. But and Lamech, the son of Methuselah, became related to Canaan by what? I'm going to show you that in a minute. But by marrying Ada and Zillah. He became related to Canaan, who was part of the Seth family, by marrying Ada and Zillah. I'm about to show you that in just a minute when I flip over to the next slide. Now, I'm doing this for a reason, because y'all need to understand the bloodline. Back in my days, I couldn't understand what was the purpose of calling out all these people in these genealogies. Now that I study for myself, I know why. It's a reason why genealogies are being called out, because it's a reason because of the events that has taken place in the Bible, in the future, in the past, that affects our future. So, you seen it. You got the family line sitting here of Cain. And then it goes over here in the book of Jasher, and it talks about Enosh burying a guy named Canaan. And Canaan, starting at 15 on down to 17, ends up having children. And out of his children, 2 of his daughters were born. Their names was Ada and Zillah. Thus who Ada and Zillah were, coming out of Genesis chapter 4. That's why was is emphasized by their name, because it's still letting you know it's a reason and it's a story behind Ada and Zillah. Just like it's a story behind name of the sister of Tubal-Cain. We'll talk about that. So, Lamech, who is Cain's descendant, end up becoming related to Cain and them, or the Seth family, because he ended up marrying Canaan's daughters, Ada and Zillah. Okay? So here we go. Let's keep going. Because like I say, it's a trip. Now we still in the book of Jasher. Still in the book of Jasher. Now when you look at Jasher chapter 2, verses 15 through 17, that's what I just showed you in the last slide. I continue on over here to the right of Jasher chapter 2, verses 18 through 25. Okay? I'm not going to read the whole thing again. If you want to pause it, feel free to read this little section that I have on the screen. I don't mind. But I'm not going to read the whole thing. I'm just throwing highlights out here. So when you look, it continues on from verse 17. It says, and Lamech the son of Methuselah became related to Canaan by what? By marriage. My thing is getting caught. Excuse me. I know I'm moving, but my cord getting caught. By marriage, and he took his 2 daughters for his wives. Ada conceived, and she bare a son to Lamech, and she called his name Jabal. That's where Jabal came from, and over there in the last slide. And she again conceived and bare a son and called his name Jubal. That's where Jubal came from. Okay? And Zillah, her sister, was barren in those days and had no offspring. So at that time, even though we don't know that from the book of Genesis, but at one time Zillah was barren. At one time she couldn't have children. Okay? At one point in time. We don't know that out of the book of Genesis, but with the book of Jasher we do. So again, here's another book, extra biblical book, that's not in the Bible. But due to its detailed information, we know by accrediting this book with the Bible. And it helps us understand the gaps that's in the Bible, just like the book of Enoch. Okay? So at one time, Zillah couldn't have children. Okay? Ada was the one having children at one time. That's where Jabal and Jubal came in at. Zillah couldn't have children. But if you, as I'm sitting here talking, if you look at 19 through 24, it starts explaining what was going on with other women as well. But at the end, starting at verse 23, okay, this is when she ended up having her womb opened up. And she was finally able to conceive. So when you look at verse 23, it says this. And in the end of days and years, when Zillah became old, the Lord opened her womb. And she conceived and bare a son, and she called his name Tubal-Cain. That's where Tubal-Cain come in, dealing with Genesis chapter 4 and Cain's people. Okay? Saying, after I had withered away, have I obtained him from the Almighty God, meaning that she got older. Okay, now look at verse 25. I got this name circled for a reason. I'm about to show you in a minute. And she conceived again and bare a daughter, and she called her name Naamah. For she said, after I have withered away, have I obtained pleasure and delight. So this is where, spoken of, dealing with Tubal-Cain and his sister. Right here. And the sister of Tubal-Cain was Naamah. And then here goes the other parts that I was just telling y'all about. Okay? But it's a reason why I have her name circled. N-A-A-M-A-H. Naamah. Again, she is a Canaanite female. She belongs to the Canaanite people. Okay, she got a little Seth blood in her because of her mom. But her dad is a Canaanite man. Okay, so here we go with the half hybridization. Here we go with the half hybrid stuff. She still got some half hybrid DNA in her system. All them kids do. Because Ada and Zillah were pure Seth women who married a Canaanite man. Okay, so all those children have some half hybridization in them. Okay, now let's talk about the reason I got Naamah circled. Okay, so do y'all remember just a little while ago when I told y'all that Noah ended up marrying a woman and she was half hybrid? Okay, we never knew who that woman name was, but it took what the book of Jasher to tell us who this woman was. Okay, all it told us in Genesis chapter 7 was that Noah and his wife and his son and their 3 wives got on this boat. We never knew who Noah's wife was. Okay, so with that being said, after showing y'all all of this information, give me a minute. After showing y'all all of this, dealing even with the blood, the little genealogy line, how he married a woman. Who do y'all think this woman is? This little black woman right here. This little black shaded woman. We about to talk about her. We already know she's a half hybrid. We already know she's a Canaanite from the way this genealogy map is. So we know that she's a half hybrid woman, but who is she? Well, guess what? We about to figure out who she is. How? Because of the book of Jasher. So when you look at what I got highlighted at Jasher chapter 5, verse 15, okay? But let's go up to Jasher chapter 5, starting at 13. And it says, a little bit more. And it says, and Noah was a just man. He was perfect in his generation, and the Lord chose him to raise up seed from his seed upon the face of the earth. Verse 14. And the Lord said unto Noah, take unto thee a wife, and beget children, for I have seen thee righteous before me in this generation. Verse 15. And thou shalt raise up seed, and thy children with thee, in the midst of the earth. And Noah went and took a wife, and he chose Naamah, the daughter of Enoch, and she, let me see, and it says, and she was 580 years old. This Enoch is talking about Cain's descendant. See, it's going to be confusing because the first thing you're going to think about Enoch that's on the good side. No, this Enoch is Cain's descendant. Again, Naamah, I just showed y'all who Naamah was. N-A-A-M-A-H. She is a Canaanite child. Although her mama was Zillah and she was a Seth woman, her dad was Lamech, who was a Canaanite. Okay? So she's a half hybrid female. This is a half hybrid female. This is the half hybrid that Noah married. Okay? God ordered him to get a wife and get ready to, make some seed. Because we know why Father wanted him to do that, because he knew that Noah and his children were going to be the ones that was going to bring about the nation of people up until today. Well, this Naamah is the one that he married. Okay? Not, and people would get it confused because of the word Enoch. Okay, let me see if I can back up a little bit just to show you one more time. Look, don't forget the family of Cain, Enoch. Because it's saying the daughter of Enoch, you're gonna think that we're talking about the book of Enoch, that Enoch. And I'm gonna show you why it sounds confusing. It sounds confusing. And I'm gonna just skip over for a second. I'm gonna go back. But it sounds confusing because of this right here. Coming out of Joshua chapter 3 verse 13. This is why it sounds confusing. And it says, and these are the generations of Enoch, Methuselah, Elisha, and Elimelech, 3 sons. And their sisters were Milcah and Naamah. And Methuselah lived 87 years old, and he begot Lamech. Not Cain's Lamech, because I just told y'all about 10 minutes ago, they have similar names in different family lines. It ain't no different than my name being Crystal, and it's another woman name being Crystal. It's the same way it was in the Bible. But this is why it would be confusing, because his child name is Naamah, N-A-H-M-A. Okay? This child that Noah married, her name is Naamah, N-A-A-M-A-H. So the Bible scholars who did Naamah, the daughter of Enoch, messed up or either did it on purpose to keep us confused and got people thinking that they're talking about this one. Okay, because Enoch did have a daughter by this name. It probably sounds just like the other one, but it's spelled differently. And Lamech, he had a son named Lamech, but it's not the Lamech that came from Cain. Okay, so this is why it would sound so confusing to people. Okay, and even when you look right here, I even put this again right here in the middle. And she conceived again and bare a daughter, and she called her name Naamah, for she said, after I have withered away, have I obtained pleasure and delight. I even put that right there so y'all can see the difference. This lady is this lady. Okay? This lady is totally different. She's in the Seth bloodline, the pure part of it. This one is a half hybrid. Okay? Zillah is a Sethite, but she ended up marrying a Canaanite named Lamech. This is their daughter's name, Naamah. The same one that's spoken of right here. Okay? And so, with that being said, right here is where it also helped us, because whoever did this scholar and wrote, whatever Bible scholar wrote this out, they told it on themselves. Because in the highlight it says, Noah thereby connecting the best of the family of Cain and Seth together. Okay? Connecting the best of the family of Cain and Seth together. It's letting you know that Seth and Cain's family was intermingling. So it's got to be talking about this hybrid woman who ended up marrying Noah. Not this namer that's with Enoch on the Seth side, but this namer who's with Cain's people. This is the one that Noah married. I'm going to say it again. Not this one, not this daughter of Enoch, but this daughter of the genealogy of Enoch off of Cain's people. Because they put Naamah, the daughter of Enoch, it sounds confusing. And they was probably confused themselves when they wrote the Bible out. But when I started studying it myself and looking at it over and over again, and then looking at that footnote, they helped answer the question as well, along with what's in our King James Version study Bible. Okay? That's why, and excuse me, I'm going to back up to show you one more time. That's why right here in Genesis chapter 4, Verse 22, that's why, and the sister of Tubal-Cain was Naamah. That's why this was emphasized. Although we don't know unless you read the book of Jasher, this was the wifey of Noah. That's why was emphasized beside Naamah, because it's letting us know there's some importance to her. It's a reason why her name is in this Bible. Okay? It's the reason why I'm emphasizing her name. Just like he did when he emphasized Ada and Zillah. It's a reason. Okay? Because these two are the ones who married a Canaanite man. And because of that, it caused him to become related to the Seth people. Okay? Especially after having children through these two women. So, excuse me, I'm sorry. With that being said, who is the wife of Noah? Well, I just broke it down to you as much as I can. I can't break it down no more than what I just showed you with the biblical scripture and with the extra biblical books. The wife of Noah was Naamah. Okay? It even says so right here in the book of Jasher. Okay? Genesis chapter 4 don't tell us that. It's just telling us that there was a sister that Tubal-Cain had. Her name was Naamah. Why would that just be right there out the blue? It's a reason why. There was some emphasis behind her importance. Because she's going to bring about something. Okay? But this is the wife of Noah. This is the half-hybrid woman that Noah married. I showed you the chart. Okay? I'm showing this, you just constantly showing this to y'all so y'all can understand. But I showed you the chart here. This right here is Noah and Naamah. Because of her half DNA, half human, half angel DNA, she couldn't bear nothing but sons for him. Because like I said, and I showed you out of the Bible in Genesis chapter 5, all of Noah's bloodline before him had sons and daughters. He is the only one who just had sons. We know why now. Because by the time he married a half-hybrid woman who was this person over here to the left, was Naamah. Okay, this is who he married. And it says so right here in the book of Jasher. Okay, and I was showing y'all that this one to the right is not the one he married. Okay, it's going to make it seem like that because it says the daughter of Enoch right here. Because they might have it twisted, or they're probably trying to keep us twisted. Don't think because they got this stuff written out for us and they're showing us, don't think that some of these people still try to keep stuff twisted, because they still try to keep us mind boggled. Or either they didn't know and wrote it out wrong. But I'm showing you by backup and by proof how that Naamah isn't the one he married. He married the half-hybrid one. Okay, so let's keep going. So, if you look, as you can see, I'm showing you all, after showing y'all all the stuff from the giants up until Noah and his family bloodline, these two books are accredited. It even says so in the Bible itself. Excuse me, y'all. I told y'all, I can tell I'm trying to catch a cold. Now, let's just take a look. Let's just take a look. Now look at that. Even 2 Samuel and Joshua talk about Jasher. Now we understand when verses are written out like this, it's letting us know that these books are extra biblical books, or books of the canon that has been taken out. Okay? Because I know y'all seen us in some of these Bible scriptures when it says, is this not written in the book of such and such? Or is this not written in the book of such and such? Well, I'm showing you in two different scriptures where the Bible itself accredited the book of Jasher. Look at 2 Samuel chapter 1 verse 18 and look at Joshua chapter 10 verse 13. These two are showing you, is this not written in the book of Jasher? Is this not wisdom that's written in the book of Jasher? Paraphrasing. Even though this is talking about something totally different, but I'm showing you personally and literally how the book of Jasher is credited in the Bible itself. Just go pull out your Bible and go look it up, and you will see that these words are written about the book of Jasher. If the book, in other words, the book of Jasher existed. If it didn't, this wouldn't be written in the Bible. Okay? These Bible scholars, these Bible scholars and these team players that's playing along with Satan, they think they so smart that they're dumb and don't even realize. But like Father said, all his information that they think that they are hiding in secrecy is being disclosed. We just got to search him and find him, and he'll show it to us. Okay, now look at the book of Enoch. This comes out of Jude. Now, I circled this for a reason, because this part right here in the book, in the regular Bible, coming out of Jude, helps us understand what the angels did in the book of Enoch. I just showed y'all that too. How the angels left their habitation and end up marrying daughters of men, and end up bearing giants. Well, guess what? Although the book of Genesis doesn't break it down that way, it's paraphrasing it right here in Jude. Right here in Jude, chapter 1, verse 6. It's paraphrasing it. That's why I sat there and I highlighted it to show y'all what else can be proven to you. By book and by Bible, what else can be proven to you to show you all that these books exist and they have been taken out the Bible? And if you understand and know in spirit and in truth, you know why. Because Satan was trying to hide things from us and keep us in deceit. So that when we see this stuff, we're thinking it's just a fairy tale when it's really the truth. So with that being said, look at that. Now, look down here at verse 14. And Enoch, also the seventh from Adam, prophesied of these, saying, Behold, the Lord cometh with 10,000 of his saints. If Enoch wasn't real, and if Enoch was a fairy tale, why is he spoken of in the Bible? Think about it. Since people don't want to take in the truth and accept truth, if Jasher and Enoch was some fairy tale, why would somewhere in a line of the verse would they be accredited in the Bible? Think about it. It's only common sense, y'all. It's only common sense. Alright. So, with that being said, it says, now that we understand how Cain came about, along with the serpent's seed, understand Noah and his wife and children, let's get to the most fun part of Noah's additional story. His son, Ham. Oh boy. Y'all ain't gonna like the sound of this because of what we've been taught by tradition. Y'all ain't gonna like it. But the story of Ham is totally different from the story that we've been taught. Totally different. And I'm getting ready to break it down to you. Give me a minute. Now we can get ready to break down the story of Noah and his son Ham. Now mind you, I showed you a link. Okay? I showed you a link. And I said we're going to break it down in a minute. Okay? Here's what we're getting ready to break it down. I went on and I put it in a 1-bit white window so you can see it for yourself. Okay? Let's scroll on in. Alright. Genesis chapter 9 verses 18 through 27. Let's start at verse 18. Now the sons of Noah who went out of the ark were Shem, Ham, and Japheth, or Japheth. And Ham was the father of Canaan. I underlined that no different than the guy did because there's some emphasis behind us. Every time you see us, it's a reason why Father do this, because there's some importance behind these people and their names. And Ham was the father of Canaan. These three were the sons of Noah, and from these the whole earth was populated. Were emphasized. Why? Because they are the sons of Noah who helped populate the earth from then up until now. And Noah began to be a farmer, and he planted a vineyard. Then he drank of the wine and was drunk, and became uncovered in his tent. And Ham, the father of Canaan, saw the nakedness of his father, and told his two brothers outside. Verse 23. But when Shem and Japheth took a garment, laid it on both their shoulders, and went backward and covered the nakedness of their father, their faces were turned away, and they did not see their father's nakedness. Verse 24. So Noah awoke from his wine, and knew what his younger son had done to him. Then he said, Cursed be Canaan. Now why curse Ham's son, and not Ham himself for performing such acts? Why? Curse be Canaan. Now why curse Ham's son, and not Ham himself for performing such acts? Cursed be Canaan, a servant of servants. He shall be to his brethren. And he said, Blessed be the Lord, the God of Shem, and may Canaan be his servant, and may God enlarge Japheth or Japheth, and may he dwell in the tents of Shem, and may Canaan be his servant. Why curse Ham's son, and not Ham himself for performing such acts? Cursed be Canaan. Going up, saw the nakedness of his father. Going up, and Ham was the father of Canaan. Why is all this? What's going on? We already got a broke down of Cain and the way he did. How giants took place in his time. How giants took place even after him. How giants took place even after the flood. We already seen that giants really existed even after the flood from some of the Bible scriptures that I showed you in Numbers and Deuteronomy. Okay? Then I sat here and I showed you about Noah and how he married a hybrid woman. I even showed you out of the Bible that we read, compared to the book of Jasher, and even compared to the book of Enoch. Okay? Now let's talk about what is it about Ham and Canaan. Because we still talking about these giants. We already know that we already know that Ham, Shem, and Japheth was pretty much some half hybrid somewhere because of their mother. Okay? But now we want to talk about Ham specifically. We want to talk about him specifically. And why his Canaan instead of him, why was Ham's son Canaan cursed instead of him? Although Ham saw his father's nakedness, but for some reason Noah decided to curse Canaan. Why? To be continued.